So, welcome everyone to Thrivecast, Unlocking Your Full Potential. I'm Oscar, I'm an emotional fitness coach, and I help people embody their higher self so they can live their true purpose in life. And with me today, I have Katarina Hanssens Carlsson. Katarina, please introduce yourself to our listeners.
Thank you, Oscar. So I'm a global Techstars mentor, and I'm all about change because change is absolutely necessary for us to change our world. So the more you change, the greater you become, the greater your world. So, all right. So what we're going to talk about today is why not you? I mean, there's a few people, actually a minority, who are extremely successful. So why not you? Why not us? And my first question is that okay, Oscar? I start with the first question.
Sure, absolutely.
How do you attract success rather than pursue it? Most people pursue success. No, 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 no. Attract it. How? You become like a magnet. You become an extraordinary person. And that means change. So you can work hard. I mean, our parents usually say, work hard at a job and stick to it, right? I don't believe in sticking to anything until I love it. So work hard on a job and you will be successful. Work hard on yourself and you'll be phenomenal if you're willing to change to that level. So that's what I have to say to you today, because mindset is 85% of your success, but have an extraordinary mindset and a resourceful mindset, and your world changes, your business changes, your life changes. Because you change, right? Because once you do that and you become this extraordinary person, you do attract people who are extraordinary, maybe way more extraordinary than you, which is wonderful. And they open doors for you. But they're not going to do it until you change, until we change, right? So that's what I have to say. What do you have to say,
Mm.
Oscar? I'll repeat the question again. How do
Sure.
you attract success rather than pursue it?
Well, it's essentially what Katarina says, that it's about you. You become the person who attracts success. But I would also say that you become the success, because attraction has to do with being, not necessarily doing. Doing comes from that point of being. But you see, there's so many people in the world that it's just there, oh, I'm refining, I'm doing this and doing that. But they might not actually do things that are productive, that are not bringing them forward. Why? Well, simply because they're not really coming from the space of that future version of them that already has what the current version of them desires to have, right? It's essentially about you putting yourself into that frame of mind of that future version of you. And that is how you get there, right? That is the idea of why not you? Well, because you are not yet in the mindset of the future you. Now, to add a little bit to this part also is for you to understand, in order for you to actually shift into that future more grounded, more authentic version of you, you have to actually figure out what is the current version of you, because you're usually in a pendulum between you are the one who thinks that giving is the right way of life, and the other one is taking the right way of life.
Mm.
And most people have one, emphasis on this. It's like, yes, giving is the right way, and then you frame your personality around that. But that means that you're missing out on being able to receive in life and take and tend to your needs and so forth. So it's really for you to understand which one of these am I and what do I need to develop, because that has a lot to do with you coming into balance, finding your authenticity, finding that future version of you, and then stepping into it and doing from that place. Because then you can relax into your process rather than you're in a pursuit of a tomorrow that never comes.
Absolutely. And I think there's a trap there that you mentioned that, I have to admit that there's certain things I love to do that I'm passionate about, that I do easily, like writing, like creating content. But it's a trap if you don't take a hard look at what's missing and how you're procrastinating. And I was procrastinating on the technology, on my website, on my Google Ads. And I didn't realize I was doing that until I woke up and realized this is what I need to change. And I don't like it. I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I'm going to find someone to help me that's not too expensive. And it's working. It's working. So, change. What's the second question? Why do people resist change? Why do we resist change? And what are the consequences? Well, life is change, whether we like it or not. Everything is changing the whole time, whether we can actually see it or not. The seasons are changing. We are changing. So the name of the game is change. And why do we resist it? Well, we say, well, I'm fine just the way I am, which is true. You don't have to change. But Oscar and I were talking about this beforehand. What happens is you slowly disintegrate. Why? Because you're not growing. You're not becoming this extraordinary person. You just want it to be easy, or we just want it to be easy. Because why? Maybe we're lazy. Maybe we think that change is painful. Maybe it is. It actually takes great honesty to look at yourself and go, this is what's not working, Katarina. This is an area I need to change, and I will change it now, right? So if you want extraordinary results, if you want an extraordinary world, become an extraordinary person, because the systems are there. Once you become that, you attract the doors opening, you attract the people, and they have systems, they have strategies that work for you. But change yourself first. Okay, Oscar, what do you have to say? Why do people resist change, and what are the consequences?
Well, they resist change because, as you say, they're comfortable with what currently is.
Yeah.
We find ways to feel so at peace with mediocrity, with the feeling of numbness. We when we do not really listen to ourselves, you see, our society makes us very numb because it bombards us with so much feelings that the only way for the body is to shut off. And it's really when we just take it as we go through something traumatic in our life, or we burn ourselves out, we get into a hospital or whatever, that's when we start reflecting. And when we're reflecting, we start feeling. And when we start feeling, we start noticing that, wait a minute, something is not working. But until that, we are actually falsely prideful of where we are in life. And we look at other people and say, well, they are not, I'm not them. I'm not that. It's identity. The person that identifies as, oh, well, that's not who I am. Then you've instantly found a way to justify that it's not needed for you to change. But the thing now is that the society is starting to break down. You see, the things that people have felt is so comfortable, taking for certain that, well, the food is going to be in the store when I get there, so I won't need to find my food, and I will get bank, and I will get insurance, I will get all of these. We built a society that is based on safety, which is a good thing, which makes us be able to reflect. But when that society starts to, it starts to crackle, then uneasiness comes in. But that uneasiness was always there. It's just that you weren't confronted with it. But the moment that you get confronted with uncertainty in your life, you start questioning things. And that's when you start to know that you need to embrace change and you need to relax into change and so forth, right? So that's what I would say about that.
Yeah, thank you, Oscar. So the third question, what do we need to change in ourselves in order to become hugely successful? That's what I was talking about. We need to be honest. We need to say, I need to have a greater mindset. I know that I wasn't a great communicator before I started making videos. But if you don't communicate and if you don't make videos, if you don't use technology today, then nobody knows who you are and nobody cares either. And we think they should care, but that's absurd. We need to change. We need to become great communicators, powerful people. We need to empower ourselves. How do you empower yourself? Number one, you love yourself. Sounds easy, but maybe for many of us, it's one of the hardest things to do. But love yourself unconditionally. Why? Because then it becomes easy to love anyone. I'm not saying you like everyone, but you love everyone. When you love everyone, it radiates from you. It's easy. And you become authentic. For me, that's power. When you love yourself, you don't need anyone to validate you. You don't need anyone's approval. You create your journey into huge success because you love yourself. Now, does that sound egotistical? Maybe it is. Maybe it's selfish. Absolutely. But how can we love anyone unless we love ourselves? And it cuts across all the niceness. Sorry, but I don't trust nice people because it's a game. And Oscar and I were talking about that before. It's inauthentic. Anybody could be nice. And we're programmed to be nice, to be good, to be compliant and to be nice. Well, yes, society can function like that, but it's not going to be extraordinary. We are not going to be extraordinary. So I would say to people, stop being nice, be authentic. All right, Oscar, what do you say? What do we need to change in ourselves to become hugely successful?
Well, as you said, Katarina, it's about becoming honest. But I would also give people a little bit of a frame of reference of looking at. Before I said giving and taking, right? Just make a short assessment. Do I look up to people who is giving or people who are taking? Just that. Then the second one is, well, do I see myself as a victim in my life, or do I see myself as a perpetrator, right? Am I a victim towards society? Do I complain or do I blame? Because as we do look at that, then we start understanding these are polarities. Now, we talked about self-love. What is self-love? It is inclusion of everything. You see, if you are blaming silently, you are also complaining inside of yourself. But it's about you becoming aware of these parts, because when the awareness comes in, choice comes in. So that means that you can then start using these the part where you understand that, oh, I need to be in the place of receiving right now. I need to tend to my needs. I need to ask people for help. I cannot any longer exist in the way that I'm just going to give to people. I need to receive. So you start understanding that you have needs. That was one of the big things for me, understanding that needing love is not weakness, it's strength. Needing from people, needing from God, asking to be supported. That's something that usually people have a hard time to do, because we've somehow sensed that there's supposed to be some type of individuality where we're supposed to be so strong. Usually that's for people pleasers, at least. It's like they love to help other people, but being helped themselves, they don't necessarily go towards that. So understand that you're existing in polarities. You need to embrace the side that you absolutely detest, because unfortunately, that's just a side inside of you. That's it, right? That is the whole crux of this. Everything comes down to you, has nothing to do with other people, but we're excellent at putting our projections on people, and we not only have bad projections like, oh, that's such an asshole, but we have a projection where we put other people, oh, it's a brilliant person. So we put them on a pedestal, and we automatically, because we put them on a pedestal, we put ourselves lower. But you don't understand that that's just your perception in your mind. So essentially, honesty first, then be really brutal and say, oh, this is how I look at myself. And the moment that you find out that you have been, duping yourself, that's growth. So be glad that you see that. That's what I would say.
Beautiful, beautiful. So how do we contact you, Oscar?
You reach me through realitydecoding.com and my Facebook group, Live Your Purpose, also on YouTube as Oscar Nygren. And you, Katarina, how do people reach you?
Through LinkedIn is best, Katarina Hanssens Carlsson or Catherine Carlsson. And contact me, contact Oscar, reach out to us, because for me, the first 15 minutes is free. So, see you next week. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And
yes. See you, everyone. Take care.